told you guys, I told you it would start sparking out of control. We knew that news was going to drop, and at 5 p.m. today, that news dropped across the world. So let's get into it. Hope you're all well. We do have a lot to talk about tonight. Honestly, I can't believe the stuff I've been reading. But secret operation, not so secret, called International Reset apparently is in play, where Ruben Amorim has been given 3 games. 3 games to sort out his Manchester United career. Now, we spoke at length last night. We spoke at length at the fact that news was coming out, and would the manager be able to survive this? There has been a lot come out with it today. There's been a lot of stuff spoken. You've had the obvious with the players, which we'll get into. We've got the obvious about the board, which we'll get into. This is going to happen, whether some of you like it or some of you lump it. When this merry-go-round starts with managers being replaced, with managers no longer having the faith and the backing of a football club, it will absolutely explode. Now, let's get into a few hellos. I do want to get into this. Jarl come in a bit earlier and said, heard Disco Mirror said this, don't believe a word they say. They burn themselves by saying Southgate is mentioned when he is retired from management. A less than talked about story is that Jim has demanded Champions League, or he will be removed in the summer. So pick which one is true and which one is made up. I think deliver Champions League is true. Said that last night. We spoke about that, Jarl. I don't know if you were here, bud. Chappy, evening. Make sure you are all liking and subscribing as you go in. We have got a lot to discuss tonight. Andy, good to see you. Wahaha, good to see you. Ben, great to see you. Evening, Steve-O and Jamie. It is good to hear from you too. So, look, the sources. This is coming from Indie News. Now, Indie broke news over the summer about several things. They got a lot right. Let's be honest. They got stuff wrong, but they got a lot right. And what they are saying is that according to their sources at Manchester United, they have secret plans to sack Ruben Amorim in the October international break if the results don't improve drastically. Now, we spoke about this last night. What does drastically mean? Well, drastically for me means that they have to go out there and win comfortably against these teams they're going to face. There are even secret documents apparently outlining the next steps that once the decision is made, it seems like certain players are already anticipating his exit, and it adds a layer of tension within the squad. I'm going to say with this, some people saying it might be wrong. I know Giles saying that he's blocked Indie because 90% of what he says is rubbish. And yeah, that might be the fact. But look, we report the news, and this guy got it spot on about Isak to Liverpool. He got a lot. It also broke the news about Baleba, which I believe, Giles, you were one of the ones saying that we need Baleba. We want Baleba. He's going to come. So here's the big thing. The fact that the most senior players will probably have caught wind of this. In fact, you know something? The whole squad will have caught wind of all of these reports coming out. They all use social media. Their agents will already be in their ears. The end is in sight for Ruben Amorim. Now, it apparently has been exclusively revealed that maybe the managers. Look, we'll go through the managers, and I'm not sold on some of them, and I'm not. And I'll tell you for why in a second. The main ones in focus, they've put Gareth Southgate. That is absolutely ridiculous. Gareth Southgate would not be at Manchester United. I just don't see how that even makes sense. When they're talking about wanting to build a club that will go on there and win the Premier League and will win all these things and go and play Champions League, well, you're not going to bring in a manager who couldn't get over the line with England, with arguably some of the best players in Europe at that time for their country. Then we talk about Glasner. We talk about Emery. We talk about, who else is there? Iriola. And we talk about Marco Silva. There's 4 managers there. What do they have in common, the 4 managers? They are Premier League managers. They know what they're doing in the Premier League. I actually think that... I think they're right. The tension is at boiling point. I think you are seeing now a clear divide between players and manager. And this divide has been coming, by the way. I think the players were happy to let this go on last season. I think they were happy to see where this went. They were happy to give this formation the opportunity and back the manager and believe in what he was saying. But it just isn't working. It isn't working. When a club when a manager has this said about him in the press, that it would cost 12 million if they sack him within the first year, those figures don't get released into the public for no reason. They just don't. I think he's a dead man walking. I think he's a dead man walking, and I think the manager knows it. Do we get a bounce on Saturday against Chelsea? Do the players... This will say everything. If we go and absolutely tonk Chelsea on Saturday, well, then you can put to bed straight away, and I will eat my own words. You can put to bed that the players are not playing for the manager. You can put that to bed, that there's a divide. But do we realistically think we're going to go on Saturday and do something against Chelsea? Judging by the fact that we've played, and I've seen so many stats about, shots taken, XG, bloody passes, all this. It means nothing if you can't get over the line. It means nothing. Now, the other thing that has been released, and again, this is writing on the wall stuff. Apparently, Manchester United are concerned about how emotion can get the better of Ruben Amorim, especially after losses. Did I not say a couple of weeks ago that they were going to have to try and curb this manager and what he says after games? They were going to have to curb the way that this manager repeatedly come out and said, if they don't want me, I will walk away from this club. Emotion has got the better of a manager. And where does emotion come from? Emotion comes from when something isn't going right in your life, when something isn't going right in the way that you do your job. When you're asked constantly at work, Dave, I'll give an example. Dave, why haven't you filed those papers in time? Because I don't know what I'm doing with them. I haven't been told, hang on, I need to do. It's emotion. Emotion comes out when something you are doing is wrong. It does. It absolutely does. Now, a number of figures close to the first team squad are increasingly concerned of Ruben Amorim and the fact that he hides when it going gets tough during games and doesn't even do enough to inspire them from his technical area. Now, there are a lot of people in here who are Amorim in. And I want it to work for the manager. I don't want us to be that sacking club. But can we honestly say when we watch these games that he inspires from the touchline? Can we say that? When a goal goes in, he's like that. Oh, God, again, it's happening again. Penalty shootouts, you know my view on that. It doesn't work. It isn't working. And I don't see where this gets better for Ruben Amorim. I do not see where this gets better for Amorim. When all of this stuff comes out, you know what's coming. You know what's coming. Let's go through some of the comments. Would the players like Mourinho and Keno, lol? No, absolutely not. Look, Mourinho's been twerking, by the way. Mourinho has been twerking about Manchester United because he's come out and said about when a manager isn't willing to change what they're doing, if it's not working, then they become foolish. Tell me you're not twerking for a job without showing me you're twerking for a job. Mourinho will absolutely be sat there in the back of his mind thinking, hang on a minute. I've got a chance of getting back in there. Mourinho can't come back to Manchester United. Bruh, good to see you, Nath. Hope you're well, mate. I absolutely hate the fact this Indy Kyler was given any sort of credibility. Warbso, you may hate it, but he's got stuff right. It's the game. Hilvan says, like, subscribe, and share. Watching from the Caribbean islands. Oh, Christ. Hilvan, jealous, absolutely jealous. Chris says, a team is toast if they can't adapt their tactics on the fly to deal with the oppositions that adapt theirs to exploit our weaknesses. And this is such a good point. It's such a good point. We saw on Sunday that Manchester City played a style that we were not used to seeing them play. Why did they do that? Because they knew that was the way to beat Manchester United. The managers that have been linked with us, take Southgate out of there for my own sanity. Take him out of there. The four managers that have been mentioned would come in and make changes at Manchester United. They would come in and they would change the style of play. They would come in and I think they'd get a tune from these players. We've already discussed last night that this team can do a lot better than where it is in the league. It absolutely can. Glasner plays the same formation, but it's tweaked completely different to what Amorim's trying to do. And what Glasner is good at, he is good at identifying when players are not good enough to play in a system he is trying to show his players to do. We've seen him move players on that don't do it right. We've seen him not play players where they shouldn't be playing. With Iraola is the sweetheart of the Premier League at the moment. I heard a lot of people say, don't go to Spurs, Iraola. I was one of them. It could ruin your career. Would Iraola come to Manchester United and hit the ground running? Would he come in and have the pizzazz to get these players on board? I'm not so sure he would. But then you go to an Unai Emery, and then you go to a Marco Silva, two coaches who I think take no bullshit from players. Marco Silva is my pick. I want Marco Silva. I think he is a quality manager. I think what he's done at Fulham is fantastic. And Unai Emery, look, Unai Emery, any Manchester United player would want him. Would he leave Villa though? And we go back to again with the situation. We can be linked with all of these managers, but has what happened at this club over the last 10 years done enough to scare these managers away? Ruben Amorim, a manager that was up and coming, that the big clubs wanted him to go there. After what's happened with him, does this scar our club against managers coming towards us? United are in a situation here where even if they sack him, I don't know which direction they go. Should have sacked him in the summer and got Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank's doing well at Spurs. He is. He absolutely is. Jamie says, I would have Emery, bloody hell, try saying that 3 times fast. I would have Emery or Iraola or Silva in charge of United. Here's the other thing, actually, before I move on to the comments, which is going to make it very tough for us to go to these managers. We're going to have to pay him 12 million to leave the club if it doesn't work. How much are we going to have to pay these clubs to get these managers out of their contracts? Now, Glasner, we know his contract hasn't got long left on it. I'm not certain on the other two, but it's going to be a big fee for us to sort this, to get these players, to get these managers in and out the door. It's bullshit, man. Managers win games sometimes. Amorim is not the manager. I agree. Pep had a week to work out how to beat Amorim in his system. He'd have took 2 minutes, to be fair, Andy. How often is the camera on Amorim? I bet more than other managers. Yeah, but Steve, you can say that, but when a manager is under pressure, the camera is always going to be on him. And let's face facts. Amorim has been under pressure for probably 6 of his 11 months in charge of Manchester United. You had the initial 5 months where everyone went, do you know what? He's new there. There's a lot wrong at that club. But now he's had a full pre-season with them. And the players just don't get this formation. And he will not change the way he looks at playing football. So I don't see it. Chris says 4-2-3-1 Le Mans. Shaw, Yoro, Delit, Dallo, Casemiro, Ugarte, Cunha, Bruno, Brian, and Sesko. Everyone playing in their best position has got to be better, surely. I don't see where Mainu's in that formation. All these stats mean nothing now, but after the Arsenal game, everyone was looking at these stats, raving about them, saying how good and unlucky. Yeah, they were, Ben, but we have to look at this in isolation. That's 1 result in 5 that it looked good. 1 result in 5 that the formation looked decent. It's not right. It's not. 3 games is only delaying the inevitable. Seeing that Ollie would be happy to take the manager job? No, definitely not. I wouldn't. Never go backwards. Never go backwards. With these ex-managers, never, ever go backwards. It never works out. It never does. Mourinho has always said he feels like he has unfinished business at United. I backed him until the end too. Yeah, and look, I'm going to say this. All of you here, all of you, there is no problem with you backing this manager or backing managers in the past. We sit here and we discuss what is going wrong. Oh, bloody hell, Mrs. Robinson kicking off at the cats. We sit here and talk about what is going wrong. We also sit here and talk about what we think is right. None of us are completely right on this. None of us are. But the one thing I think we can all agree on is this formation is not the way forward for Manchester United. Mike says no Emery. Iraola's is at the end of the season. If that's true, Warbsoo, let's get that done. Can we reset? Can we reset to before the City takeover and change the rules? And Chelsea. Rich, take your pick. Take your pick. So with this in mind now, with the news that is dropping, 3 games left for Amorim to save his career at Manchester United. And I got to ask you the question, is 3 games too many? Is 3 games too many games to give this manager? Some of you want to give him to the end of the season. Some of you are unhappy with what you've seen already and are happy to get rid now. Some of you have said 5. I said 5 on last night. But my point is, if we go into the games like we have recently, and we play the way that we've been playing, we persist with playing players out of position, what's the point in these 3 games? Like, if Manchester United are already sat there saying we've got to decide what we're doing, just make the decision, because nothing's going to change in that time. We are not going to go against Chelsea on Saturday and suddenly become world beaters at this formation. We're not. Chelsea, again, haven't had a great time at Old Trafford in the past few years. We know that. But Chelsea will be licking their lips. Chelsea have got the secret weapon this weekend in Garnacho. And I'm not saying that to say that Garnacho is going to be a world beater. What I'm saying is Garnacho will have an impact on this game, whether we like it or whether we lump it, be it goals, assists, or taking a horrific foul off someone and earning a red card for someone. The 3 games, I don't know what we learn in them. I don't know what we learn, because we're playing Chelsea. Yeah, okay. We lose against them, let's just say. Then we've got Brentford away. We don't play well away from home. We play horrendous away from home. Then we've got Sunderland at home. What are we going to learn in these games? I guess what I'm asking you is, in these 3 games that we are supposedly going to be assessing him on, what do you expect to see, chat? What do you expect to see different from this team to make you decide in 3 games it is right to keep this manager in charge? Let me have a quick look at the comments. By the way, if you take away the 97th minute penalty against Burnley to get the win, we would... And this is such a great point, Warbzo. Such a great point. Imagine if we didn't get that penalty against Burnley. We would be on 2 points out of our first 4 games. 2 points. You looked at that result and you said, well, hang on a minute. Maybe, just maybe, this last-minute win, maybe it now pushes us. Maybe it gives us something, that fight to push and do something, but didn't. 3 games, Chelsea, Brentford, Sunderland. Yeah, because I see him beating Sunderland. What's the next 3? No, it's so, as Ben, as he's, said there, it's Chelsea, Brentford, and Fulham. Chelsea, Brentford, and Sunderland. Amorim couldn't find a way to break... Arsenal couldn't find a way to break Amorim's tactics. That is why they sucked. He should just tweak something. He's breaking our hearts. He is breaking our hearts. I will say that. I was just on loaded mag with the boys. And I want this manager to succeed. I want it to succeed so much. I really like him. But sometimes you just got to say enough's enough. I fear if we keep him till the end of the season, we could get relegated, says Andy. Oh, God. I mean, I'd like to hope that never will happen at Manchester United. But if you go on our form at the moment, the fact that we've got Chelsea next, we could essentially be, after our first 5 games, be on 4 points. That is not good enough. That is not good enough. And I know we want to persist with this formation. And I know that we want to persist with the fact that the players just can't take to it. And maybe it's the players' fault and maybe it's Bruno's fault. But I take your point about the formation. I do. But who does Ruben Amorim keep picking in central midfield? And I've seen a lot of people who back Amorim here moan about the player who's playing in central midfield. I'll tell you who he picks: Bruno Fernandes. Doesn't help himself. Steve-O says, what would you take? Boring United football with victories or exciting football and losses? Look what happened to Van Gaal. Maybe these players aren't good enough for Amorim's style. They're not good enough for the style. And at the moment, I would take boring United football with victories every day of the week. I would take a season of 1-0s, 2-1s. I would take that. I would, for us to get back to where we need to be. Paul, good to see you, mate. He says, evening all. For me, 1 transfer window isn't enough to get all his players down. He needs at least 3, unless he gets 200 million each transfer window, and that's not happened. Well, he's had 2, hasn't he? He got Dorgu in January. But I take your point. But at the same time, do we honestly think that... In fact, I tell you what, look, let's do a poll. I think I'm going to have to put my finger on mute because this will have me galloping about. Okay. Does 2 more transfer windows? We'll give him 2 more. give Amorim enough time to turn this around? Right, there you go. Pop it in, yes or no. Does 2 more transfer windows give Amorim enough time to turn this around? Do you think he can change the squad enough in 2 transfer windows to get it to where he would like it to be? He can't play his system, says Chappie, and he won't change. Recipe for disaster. And he won't change. If something's not working, you go back to it, don't you? If something's not working, you go, this ain't working at the moment, but you know what? I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to get what I need, and then I'll go back to it. He won't do that. Ben says, does 6 points out of those 3 games do it for him? That's a good question, Ben. Look, 6 points would be, I'm assuming you're saying Brentford and Sunderland. Well, 6 points would put us on 10 points, wouldn't it? And 10 points out from, 10 from 7 still not great, is it? But there's no point in giving him any time at all if he's not willing to change, says Wahaha. We beat Brentford and Sunderland, then what? He's safe for the season seems idiotic. Chris, I agree with that. I agree. If the board are having this much doubt now, if they are saying that 3 games is going to determine what they do with him, then they obviously now are starting to think that this isn't working. And you may as well just do it now. In my opinion, says Mike, if we lose against Chelsea by a huge margin, honestly, Dan, I don't see how he keeps his job. It's true. I want to see Bruno bench. We all want to see that. Paul says, three games, Dan, takes you to the international break. Same one you sacked Erik ten Hag in. Paul, welcome, by the way. Good to see me. I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. Yeah, it did. It did. You're right. The international break would be the absolutely ideal time to make the change. I would absolutely be saying to you now that I think Manchester United will have already drawn up the shortlist. I think the names that have been mentioned are probably the ones that they're looking at. Maybe they chuck McKenna in there. I know West Ham are looking at it. Maybe they look at people like Carrick as a caretaker sort of situation. But Manchester United will have that shortlist. They will know exactly that the boys behind the boardroom will absolutely be going out there and having the conversations with agents. They will, because this isn't a club where you can just sack them and go, well, we'll wait a second. It isn't. Lawrence says the Red succession is obviously being negotiated in Davos. The Red succession is obviously, I think, in Ineos, I think you mean. Yeah, I agree, Lawrence. Arsenal game kind of worked because Arteta is the same idiot who won't change his ways. Every manager that adapts is taking us to the cleaners. This, by Wahaha, that is such a good point. Arteta is a manager that won't shift from what he's trying to do. He won't. And because he wouldn't change it against us, that is why it looked bad. Fulham, Burnley, Grimsby, City all started the game a certain way, realised that we were playing the way we were, changed it up. What happened? They all got results. Liverpool had a last minute. Yeah, they did. But Liverpool are top of the league, Chappie. Yeah, I get that with the penalty against Burnley so late on, but we had but we had Bruno missing a penalty against Fulham, so we should have had 3 points there. Swings and roundabouts there, Paul. I agree. And Niche fan says Indy Kyler are correct on this one. He's gone. Indy Kyler and I agreeing on something. Bruno is our best player, should be a 10. That is such a great point as well. Bruno, look, love him or hate him, Bruno is a number 10. You wouldn't sign Yamal and play him left wing back, would you? You wouldn't go out there and sign Isak and play him central midfield. You wouldn't go out there and sign Van Dijk and play him, cam. You play your best players in their best positions. And if you've already signed players to fight for that position, then tough shit. That's on you. But you don't try and shoehorn a player who has done so much in a formation, in a system, in a position. You don't try and do that. It ain't going to work. It never is. I've always backed Amorim, but with the form we are in and his unwillingness to tweak his system and Bruno Sam, he's going to get himself sacked. He is going to get himself sacked. This is the thing. He's going to get himself sacked. Let's have a look at the poll because I'm seeing a very, very tight one here. 50-50. Guys, we are 50-50 in the poll at the moment. Does 2 more transfer windows give Amorim enough time to turn this around? We are 50-50, yes and no. That is how divided this fan base is about Ruben Amorim. That is the division we are seeing in this It's incredible. I can't believe how close that is. He is getting hammered for the way he plays his formation. He won't survive. He won't survive with those tactics and selection. It's not a squad problem. You need adaptable tactics. Again, we've tried this formation. I'm not going to bore you with talking about the formation again and again and again, but at the moment, it is the main fact here. If you're not going to change up the formation, if you're not going to admit that what you are doing is failing, then you are going to fail. Ultimately, you will fail. Maybe in the Turkish league, he's proven to be stubborn, so 10 windows would not make any changes. Dan, he has said he hasn't got 2 more windows. Sir Jim has said he's gone if we aren't even in your Champions League. And do you know something? Do you agree with that? Do you agree? Do you think Sir Jim is right to come out and say that? Because I do. I think he's right to come out and say that. Sir Jim has got a lot wrong at Old Trafford, but they've spent money on him. I think he's right to say that, look, this is what we want you to achieve. Moxie said, good evening, Moxie, one of the OGs. Good to see you, mate. He says, evening, everybody. Always been hammering him, as you know, but the statement he made and lack of willingness to be flexible with his formation is tough to back. He has players to fit, but won't play them. I think he's done this to himself with United fans, I do. I don't think we can afford to give him that long. We will be in the Championship. Depends entirely on how much he has been backed in those windows. But would you want him to be backed 200 million a time? Do you think the club can afford, where we are at the moment, to spend 200 million on a manager who at the moment is looking like he won't budge on anything? I don't think we can. Arrogance is costing him, as Andy said here, and arrogance is absolutely costing him. Make sure you're smashing the likes as well, people, and make sure you subscribe if you are new. We are definitely doing well in our growth on this channel. You are definitely helping. Mike says, I understand the player argument, but Dan, my question to you would be, is Brian, Ahmad and Bruno Arsenal players? Arse players. I don't think so. He needs to start playing to player strengths or he goes. We're already seeing the comments about Sesko, aren't we? We're already seeing the rival fans coming in and saying, oh, Sesko's shite. Sesko's shite. Sesko's not good enough. You know, Newcastle fans saying, oh, I'm glad we didn't get him. Same Newcastle fans who said that they wanted him there. You know, they wanted him there, and they were laughing. They were laughing at us as a fan base when they put the bid in. So doesn't that just show already that rival fans know that it's the manager that is the problem with some of these players? It is. If Amorim plays Bruno Dan, he just doesn't trust Manu in midfield. Well, and make sure you like and subscribe there. He has to pick Manu at the weekend. Like, I kind of feel like if he doesn't pick Manu at the weekend, if he persists with Bruno in the central midfield, and if he drops Sesko, I think he'll be gone after that game, because I think he'll piss a lot of players off, and I think he'll piss a lot of fans off as well. He's had the fans back him for so long. I'm going to be very intrigued to see what the fan reaction is on Saturday. Now, look, he's lucky because Garnacho's back there, and Garnacho will be absolutely booed out the stadium. But if Chelsea go into that game and go up early on and go 2 or 3 up, I think he'll be gone. Lawrence says, cart and horse, chicken and egg come to mind with the future transfer windows. He's not playing the midfielders properly. Perhaps a player like Dumfries could save him, but he doesn't play a 3-5-2 either. No. Players like Shaw and Delo, I understand, are part of the problem, but since last summer, Ineos have brought 8 to 10 players in. There's no way all 22 of our players are that bad. Amorim needs a tweak. And I back that comment. There's a lot of players that have been brought in that we do like. I hear all of you talk about most of you talk about De Ligt. A lot of you talk about Mazraoui. We talk about Brian Mbeumo, Cunha, Mount. You can higgledy-piggledy. There are players that have been brought in by Ineos that people back. My question is, how different would these players look in a different formation? The formation is the ultimate key here for Manchester United. You know when people say, but it's just not that easy, Dan? I am here to honestly tell you now, and if I'm wrong and they try it and it doesn't work, I will fade off into the distance and you'll never hear from me again, I promise. But I am willing to put everything on it that if we change this formation, you would see the players improve. You would see the players going into games with more confidence. Playing players like Bruno in the 10 would be absolutely phenomenal. Having Cunha and Brian inverting off the wing creating havoc with Sesko up top would create a more balanced side. This side at the moment is so imbalanced, it's ridiculous. Last spring, one podcaster counted 15 players. We should remove 10 after the bomb squad. May have a point now, maybe. None of our midfielders are any good at all. They're terrible. He can only go with what he has at best, and at this time, people are crying out for Mainu to start. I think Mainu and Casemiro at the moment in that midfield too, playing in a 4-2-3-1. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong. I think we'd absolutely do wonders with that. If Iriola comes in, these players would be screwed. He's got the highest pressing team in the league. Can you imagine Bruno in that? No, I can't imagine Bruno in that, but I can imagine Brian and Cunha in that. I can imagine Sesko doing that. I think managers would come in and sort this out. They would. We were all expecting the new manager bounce when he joined. It didn't work. We drew against Ipswich. And who was the other result? Was it? I can't remember who it was. I'm that angry tonight. A new manager will come in and shake this shit up. And what he will do with the players that aren't good enough is he will shut that shit down. But at this point, under this regime, under the way that the formation is, this shit ain't happening. It does show that Sir Jim actually has ambition. Kobe came on and was easily our best player. He is our most natural and capable central midfielder. So for Amorim to not have a place for him sounds crazy. Instead, he wants to shoehorn Bruno into an 8 when he's a 10. Yeah, I'd fully back him. At least 10 players in the squad need replacing. Ben, what players in the squad need replacing, my guy? Can you list can you list the names of the players that need replacing in this squad already? I can't think of 10. I can't think of 10 right now because I think under another manager, I think some of these players would look a lot better. You could argue Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire, Casemiro, Binder. Who else would you go with? Who else would you go with? Who else would you actually go with there? Ben, I want you to list those players. List those players for me. It's such a weird scenario because if we give him time, then we have to get him a midfielder in January to try and give him a chance. But if this doesn't work, our season is finished. Hard decision. Here's another thing. Okay, so let's say that the board back him. What the board should be doing is saying, okay, right, Manchester United fans, in January, that midfielder, it's going to happen. Not it might, not we're looking. We are going out there and we're getting a midfielder. If we can change little elements about it, then maybe he has a chance. But I don't see it. I just don't see it. We've got to get to fucking January yet. Honestly, this manager is driving me insane. We need to change quick. We can still save our season, but we need to sack him. And guys, do you really need transfer windows to keep your job? Your decision-making should be... Do you know what, Akko? Akko, this comment... I'm ending the poll, by the way. 50-50, we finished on that. Akko, this comment... is just poetic. And Akko's right. Do you really need transfer windows to keep the job? Your decision making should be crucial, and no one is seeing that. Should these managers that we're paying the big bucks for be able to come in and coach these players into be able to play in these positions? Excuse me. Should they? Of course they should. Of course they should. Let me ask you a question. Has Amorim coached any player at Manchester United and made them better players? And I'm talking, you look at these players and you go, oh my God, we got a player on our hands here. Has he actually made any players significantly better? That's the question to you. The board isn't made. Yeah, and the board are fucking up as well. When Sir Jim said Mainu is going nowhere, he must know something. Andy, again, that is such a massive point as well. Do you know what? This is why I love you guys, because you come out with these comments and it makes me go, why didn't I even think about that? Why didn't I see that? The fact that Sir Jim come out and said, Kobe ain't going anywhere, you just wonder if that's where it started to turn. You wonder if Amorim did go to the board and said, look, I want him out of here. He don't want to play for me. No, get rid of him. I want Conor Gallagher instead. Conor Gallagher is levels above Kobe Mainu. And you just wonder if maybe that's when the board started to say, hang on a second. Hang on a second. What is... are we right here? Big shout out to Queen Sophie. Smash them likes. Make sure you do so. Donnarumma looked great against United. Another huge mistake by United. He could have been our keeper for the next 10 years. City put him straight into the derby. United too scared to play their new keeper. Yes and no, Chris. I still think the money that he would have come to us for, I don't want to spend that money on a player like I just don't. We've done that for too long. 3 games left for Scammering. Well, hopefully we all picked last night for the weekend on your showdown won't be far away. That was a good team as long as Cunha is fit to play. And I agree with that, Paul. I agree. We all have the players, guys. We need to call good shots. So good. And as Moxie says here, undoubtedly a 4-2-3-1 would bring the whole team the whole team into focus, and players will actually start in their natural positions. Lemmy, Maz, Delit, Yoro Dorgu, Ugarte, Mainu, Brian, Bruno, Cunha, and Sesko. Dallo has to go. All of them except Le Mans, Sesko, Brian, Cunha, and Yoro. I'm not sure I agree with that completely there. Not sure, and Xerxes. I'm not sure I agree. Oh, there we go. There she comes in with that. She wins it there. 1-0 Spurs. Oh, for God's sakes. Oh, for God's sakes. Isaac says, Dan, I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but it just seems to be this endless cycle. A manager comes in and is going to be the one to take no shit and fix things. Then after 6 to 7 months, a lot of the fan base want them out already. And yet, yeah, do you know, you're probably right there, Isaac. But with this situation, I think we have every right to sit here as fans and say this isn't working. I think we have every right to sit here and say that the 11 months he's been here, there has been no signs of improvement. There hasn't. Yeah, we can short down the Arsenal game. Yeah, we looked pretty decent. You know, Arsenal were lucky to beat us, but did we win ultimately? Did we get a draw at least? No, we didn't. Different horses for different courses. You should be able to adapt. Tuchel made the most, even Tonk Nash, good to see you, mate. Tuchel made the most with the players he had with the 3-4-3. Actually switched from 4-3-3 to suit the Chelsea squad. Oh God almighty! I'm just so done with it, guys. So done with it, man. To go end of the season, be in there. Dallo, Maguire, Shaw, Leacher. Wow, that's a. Ooh. Casemiro, Ugarte, Bruno, Xerxes. 9 you've got there. We've had 10 managers since. It's not good enough. I want to know. If it really is 3 games left to save this manager, let's ask the question. Can't even spell tonight, guys. This is what this club's done to me. Okay. How many points in the next, and I'm going to put points in here. Do you know what? We'll go standard. We'll just go with 3 here. How many points in the next 3 games saves Amorim? 3, 6, or 9? 3, 6, or 9. I'm not going to go in with the in-betweeners. I want you to pick I just want you to pick 3, 6, or 9. How many points saves Amorim? Why is it we as a fan base can see what is wrong and Amorim can't? And this is the thing. Like Ben, I love you, bro. I love you. You're such a great part of this channel. I wouldn't be without you on this channel, mate. But even you have to admit that this formation doesn't work. And as much as you want the manager to stay, which I love that, the manager surely has to see that this isn't working. And the reports that are coming out today, if I was manager of Manchester United, I wouldn't be going, nah, fuck it, I'm going to carry on playing it. I'm gonna carry on playing it. No, I would think to myself, what do I need to sort this out? What do I need to sort this out? I just don't think Yoro improved under this system. He's just that good. He's able to adapt. Yeah, I agree. We know Cassie's going. Bruno should. Xerxes has the season to prove himself. That's close to the 15, including the bomb squad. Wow. If it's 3 games, I think he needs 7 points minimum. Needs to be unbeaten. And Moxie, that you took the words right out of my mouth. That is key. That is key. For me, as a Manchester United fan, I think he needs 9 points. I think he needs 9 points or 7 points if it's unbeaten. I think we have to be unbeaten. But I don't want unbeaten to be 3 points. I don't want 3 draws. I don't want 5 points, 2 draws and a win. It has to be a minimum 2 wins and a draw. I've put the options 3-6-9 because personally for me, I think 9 points it saves his job. But we have to show clear progression in what we're doing. If we don't, I think the writing's on the wall. It just seems a massive waste, though, after all that investment again to bring in the players for Amorim's system just to restart all over again, just a few games into the season. But the difference with this, Isaac, I'll say this about that. The difference between this and bringing Amorim in is these players that he's brought in are far more adaptable to be able to play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 than the players we had in at the time that we had to change for this 3-4-2-1 or 3-4-3. Those players can play in the 4-2-3-1. No doubt about it. No doubt in my mind about that. So I kind of disagree with that. I disagree slightly. Just imagine where it would have been if we sacked Fergie the season we won the FA Cup. When Robin's got that header, we need to be patient, give him another transfer window. Football's changed since then, Paul. Look, in an ideal world, we would do that. In an ideal world, we would do that and we would go, right, do you know what? Yeah, let's give him 2 or 3 seasons. But back then, to play in Europe, you had to be the best of the best. We weren't anywhere near Europe, really, were we? Cup Winners' Cup, bits like that. But we weren't that team that was going out there and looking to dominate in Europe like we ended up doing so. The difference between them and then and now is you have so many opportunities to qualify for Europe. To not be involved in Europe, you fall further and further and further behind of where you want to be. Manchester United attracted some good quality players this summer. They did. Would you back Manchester United to be able to bring in the same sort of quality players if we missed Europe for 2 or 3 seasons? I don't think we would. And I tell you what, we would find ourselves having to do. We'd find ourselves back into the same scenario of having to overpay to get these lads in through the door. We don't want that. We don't want that. It's a different era to the Fergie time with that. 6 points, says Andy. I don't think he needs saving, says Ako. It just worries me that the board have done this again after having a manager that clearly isn't good enough. And yeah, and Isaac, there'll be a lot of question marks with this board now. There will, because essentially they failed more than once. They have. They failed more than once in bringing a manager in. They had Ten Hag. They should have got him. They should have got rid of him after the FA Cup final. That was the first failure. But then they brought this manager in. There is clear pathway here that what they're doing behind the scenes in the way they think managers should be backed or what is wrong. Chelsea, for what we say about them in the early years under Abramovich, and yeah, I know they're in trouble at the moment with the Abramovich era, but what did they do if a manager wasn't successful? They just get rid of them and they bring someone in and they go out there and win stuff. We have to be more cutthroat with our managers instead of dragging it on and on and on and on and on and on and on, where we know that it's not going to succeed and we know that it's just cruel at this point for this poor bloke to be stuck in the job. That's what we need to change. I say if we lose horribly against Chelsea, he's gone regardless, but he needs a minimum of 7 points. Give him the best players in the world, he'll suck in this league. Oh, potentially. Amorim has only got half a built team. He still uses Harry's last-ditch attempt for goals. Okay, Steve, but the difference with that is why would he get rid of Amorim? Why would he get rid of Haaland? Why would he get rid of Haaland? You need 2 options. This is another thing that the manager wanted. The manager wanted Haaland gone. The manager said Haaland wasn't going to play anymore. He opted to keep Xerxes, who isn't a striker. He is a 10. If I have to, 9 because it's not that difficult of a run. Okay, in the eyes of Jim, I honestly think that that is what he'll be thinking. Yeah. We are going to get a smashing. 6 points will do. It has to be 7 or 9. We have some great fixtures in December, and we probably need 65 points for Europa League. So it's too soon, the judgment. Lawrence, so what we're saying is we're going to take a chance on waiting until December when we have a decent, nice, easy run. How many games are in December? 7. So we're hoping that we'll get 21 points out of 21 in is it 7? It might be 6. It's too much of a risk, bro. Too much of a risk. Isaac, I'll let you reply to Isaac there, Mike. Surely Sir Jim has had a conversation with Amorim about his formation if he's going to change it. I think something's been spoke about. Something has happened between the players, the manager, and the ownership this week. It has. Because all of these reports that come out don't come from nowhere. There has been unrest. There has. All of this stuff, it doesn't come out of nowhere, guys. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it twisted. Moxie, good to see you tonight, mate. He says, okay, folks, brief for me again tonight. Hopefully back to a bit of normality tomorrow. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. United till I die. And that's it. Glory, glory, Man United. And Isaac says, yeah, I understand they can also play in another system. My point being that probably would have been better off bringing in a new manager early to have a full pre-season so United could hit the ground running. Yeah, and I take that. And look, I sat here saying I'm feeling confident this season. But unfortunately, it's just come back to the way it is. It's come back to the way it is. Plan is the next 2 windows, deal with midfield. Looks like the players are a priority over the coach. I can't understand it. It's fair. We were missing Mount and Cunha on Sunday. Wonder if they have made the difference. Cunha would have absolutely made the difference. In fact, Mount and Cunha would have made the difference. But then would it have been the detriment of dropping Sesko? If we don't get rid of him with the next 3, the next manager gets 2 weeks to prepare during the international break until Liverpool. Do you know, I haven't even thought about that. Imagine, I tell you what, the manager who takes on the Manchester United job after the international break, if he does get sacked, has got big fucking balls. Your first game away at Anfield, you have got to have serious cojones. What manager? I tell you, the only manager that would take that job is Mourinho. We'd go, yeah, I'll go there. I don't give a shit. Good to see you, Anthony. What you've missed, mate, is that it looks like we are in the end game with Amorim. Project International Reset, if you've just joined, is what is being spoken about behind the scenes, where Amorim has 3 games to save his Manchester United career. Been in 12 months and still won nothing. 2 games. Oh, still nothing. Won 2. Didn't? Yeah, you're right. We haven't even won 2 games in a fucking row in 11 months in the league. 2 games in a row, 11 months. Oh! Chance of beating Brentford and Sunderland. History says probably. Imagine that he breaks the duct beating them 2. I think Amorim has been given grace because if he gets sacked, it's going to look bad on Barada and Wilcox. Do you know something, Mike? Look, if I'm Barada and Wilcox, you've got to be able to take the flak, but you've got to be ready to go. Right, this didn't work. Let's go and find something that does. And Waha says also he didn't want to keep Xerxes. He ain't playing him. It doesn't matter what players we have if he'll keep shoehorning them into this template. Dan, do you think Amorim has the balls to see this out? I don't think he has. And Andy, you make a great point there. I don't think he does. I think Amorim's a very emotional manager. And all of this will be absolutely battering him. It will. It'll be making him upset. It'll be making him angry. If we lose on Saturday, I dread to think what his post-match interview will be like. I dread to think. He needs a result so badly on Saturday, sorry. It's not like we can even take it game by game now, folks. It's not. It's not like we can sit here and say, okay, well, let's just win this one, then we'll move on to the next one. He has to get this right, and he has to pick the right players. And unfortunately, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. Here we go. Ben's coming with his. So Binder, Shaw, Casemiro, Delo, Maguire, Delit, Ugarte, Xerxes. 8, that is. Okay. I'm not letting you have Rashi. No, I'm not letting you have them. I'm not letting you have them. Isaac says, if you look at the contrast between Marinakis and United board in terms of sacking the managers, United to seem to lag behind and wait for too long before moving on to our new manager. And this is what I'm discussing here. Yes, you can give him the time. You can give him time to, the 3 games. You can give him 5 games. Hell, you can give him till January to try and turn it around. But at what point do you go, uh-oh, we didn't hit it? United have to be bold. They do have to be bold, and they have to send a message and say it's not good enough. Off you go. If they don't back him, is what I'm saying. If the manager's not backed by the board, if we are seeing these inklings coming from the news now, these are being released to people. You know this, right? All these big sources in football on Twitter, they get these things fed to them. If this stuff's coming out, the writing's already on the wall for him. A late November sacking saves the club 12 million compensation in terms of 12 months. I like what you're doing there, Lawrence, trying to save us money, buddy. And look, Ben, I love you for that. And Football is a fickle sport. Football is a fickle sport. We can be the most ficklest fans in the world. If we get to January and he's somehow turned it around and we're like 7th, 8th, 6th, and things are working, well then yeah, we are probably going to sit here and go, hang on a minute, something seems to be working. But under this persistent way he plays football, with the players that he persists to play out of position, I think he's gone as far as he can with this club at the moment. Is it a case of, in fact, you know what? Let's end this poll. 55%. Wahaha and Ben have given me a great idea for a poll. 55% of you wanted 6. I'm going to use you two here. Ben and Wahaha. What are you tonight, chat? I love this. Right. This is due to the two of the OGs, Wahaha and Ben. What are you tonight, chat? What are you tonight? Backing brigade or sacking brigade? Which one are you? I tell you what, that would rock. That would rock world football. It will never happen. That would rock. This would be. Would this be right? Again, it's not going to happen. So people who are trying to clip me up or anything, disclaimer. Would this be the biggest, most monumental shift in football if Jurgen Klopp signed for Manchester United? I think the internet would explode. I think Liverpool fans would be burning shirts of Klopp quicker than you can say, "You're right, mate." It would be, oh my Christ. Agree. Come on, Dan. Back him at least a little longer. Geezy says, Dan, there's a definite pattern here with each and every manager that come after Fergie. Players do not fit the system. Manager orders their own players. Manager still plays the wrong players. Why? It's because it's just because we don't get it right as a club. Manchester United don't get it right as a club. If it was as simple as just picking a manager and picking players, that would be it. You know, everyone would do it. But there's so much more that comes into it. And that is where Manchester United have been found lacking for so long. We've not run the club the right way for such a long time. The chickens come home to roost, don't they? The chickens absolutely come home to roost. How are we doing with this? I want to check something. Give me just a little more time. We are 1 subscriber away from 1,260. Someone hit the subscribe button if you can. I want to see that before the end of the stream. I've been waiting to get to 126 for a while. So can somebody please hit that like and subscribe button, please? Get me where I need to be. It's not great to think that Luke Shaw was responsible for another sacking, but how can we say that Luke Shaw's responsible for Ruben Amorim's sacking? I'm not sure we can say Luke Shaw is responsible. I'm not sure. If anyone wants Amorim sacked, sociologists were right. We are the most impatient society in world's history. Steve. Come on, mate. I don't think it's fair to say that. 11 months, I think, is more than patient enough for us to see a system and the way it plays. We've seen that it's not as if we've even seen this system work over 90 minutes. We've seen it in 15, 20 minutes in the first half here, 15, 20 minutes middle way through a second half there. I don't think that's right. I don't think we're impatient. I guarantee if this system was working and we were 6th, 7th, 8th, even 9th, I think we'd all sit here and go, well, do you know what? We're in and around Europe at the moment. It's not the best of starts, but we're looking okay. But the way that we folded against City on Sunday, the comments he made after the game, baiting us almost by saying, I'll keep playing this, so do what you want. I'll keep doing it. I'm not sure about that one. The thing is, sacking only saves United if they bring the right replacement in, and you'd say based on the previous history, the current board at United haven't been able to do that or get anywhere near it. Isaac, we are in that situation now, and we're coming to a close here, but we are in that situation. Manchester United have to get it right. Remember at the start of the season when I said we had to get the transfers right? Well, Manchester United have to get the next manager has to be the correct one. Now, there are arguments for and against some of the managers we've been linked with. Emery, you'd argue the pedigree this manager brings, fantastic. But then you'd say with regards to how he did at Arsenal, it didn't really work out. Glasner, you'd say this guy has revolutionised Crystal Palace, won an FA Cup for Christ's sake. Can he do it at Manchester United? We don't know. That is the big fundamental question here. Can any of these managers who have been linked to us do it at Manchester United? I'm not so sure. 62% of you have said sacking brigade. 62% of you. Wow. They're with you, Wahaha. They are absolutely with you. Perhaps peeps have told me that there is an inside man coordinating the team sheet and giving the manager after he makes a selection. Managers forced to play them due to media rights? Nah, definitely not. Look, we're talking about the same manager who come out and said these players wouldn't play for him again and has come out and argued the fact that Manu won't get in the team at the moment. I don't think that at all. I genuinely don't think that. Sacking him doesn't fix the problems. It just kicks the can back down the road, back to square one. He still needs time, still needs backing, and needs at least one more window. But even I have lost faith after the subs. Nothing wrong with with failing fast, firing higher. I don't have a problem with it personally until we find a good fit. And one thing Amorim is not good at is in-game management. His subs are poor at best. Amorim's subs, I would say, are the worst I've seen at Manchester United in a long time. His subs are so baffling sometimes. The constant try to change the back three doesn't need to happen. Bringing Yoro, there was no need to bring Yoro off. He wasn't nursing an injury. There was no need to bring Sesko off. He wasn't nursing an injury. His subs just baffle me. Nothing wrong with failing fast. Oh, I've gone that for that one. And Waha says, yes, and we all hate going back to square one, but this guy ain't moving away from square one. And there's no hints of him doing so in the near future. Guys, we are a fan base absolutely divided. But we are only divided in opinion. We are not divided in the respect we have for each other in this community. And that is why we are able to have these chats. I adore each and every one of you. I will see you all tomorrow at 7:30. Let's try it. I am going to make you a promise. Tomorrow night, I am going to get positive. I am going to be positive. We have had a couple of nights here where we have been miserable because of the result at City. I will not allow myself to do that again. We are going to look at positives tomorrow night. We are going to try and enjoy it. The only thing I will say before I close is, with the news that is coming out about Manchester United, with sacking, with the project international reset, I don't think that the last of these reports have come out yet. I think there is more to come. We will be here when it breaks. Dan United, Brian Brigade, Backing Brigade, Sacking Brigade, each and every one of you. Uta. Have a good evening. Have a good evening.